It's Wine Wednesday, but do you want to talk about pet peeves? I do. Today on our YouTube channel, we are talking all about 5 wine mistakes you're making, but good news is I'll also teach you how you can stop making them in the future. Let's do it. Hi everyone, I'm Erin from the Wine Sisters, and this is the channel where we teach you how to eat, drink, and entertain like a pro. Now, today I want to talk about something that drives me crazy. Well, 5 things that drive me crazy, to be honest with you. And the first one is wine temperature. We all know that white wines are served cold and red wines are served at room temperature, but so often we mess this up. We serve white wines within an inch of their lives, frozen down, fogging up the bottle. Not good. And similarly, red wines, room temperature does not mean the room temperature that we experience today, 70, 72, 75 degrees. No, what we're looking at is wines that need to be a little bit more room temperature, as in the room temperature from 200 years ago when we were all living in stone castles. So why is that such a bad thing? When you have white wines that are served freezing cold, what happens is that clamps down or it mutes the flavor and the aromatics that are going into that glass. When you ever have anything that's way too cold, whether it's wine or anything else, you're not really getting those nuances of the flavor. You're better off serving your white wine a little tiny bit warmer. In Celsius, I'd say anywhere between 6 to 10 or even 12 degrees Celsius. Rule of thumb, put your white wine in the fridge for about an hour, pour it, let it sit for about 5 minutes in the glass so it can warm up to be a decent enough temperature, because I know you're not going to be using a thermometer putting that in your glass. Now, for red wine, similarly, you have your red wine just sitting on the counter. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, that might work out really nicely for a good 15-minute decant, but it's not going to work out really well when it's been stored on the counter, or even worse, above your fridge, and then you go to open it up. When a wine is served way too warm, what ends up happening is all you get is that sort of soury smell of cheap wine, even if it's an expensive wine. What you want to do is you want to serve your red wines anywhere between, let's say, 10 and 14 degrees. So rule of thumb there, put your red wine in the fridge, yes, in the fridge, for about 15 minutes before serving, open it up and it's nice and cool, and what you're going to get instead is the vibrancy of a red wine that just pops, and you get all of those gorgeous flavors. So, pet peeve number 2. What ends up happening here is when people refuse to decant. Trust me, people, decanting is not elitist. In fact, it will never hurt your wine. It will almost make it better all the time, so do it. When you put your wine in a vessel other than the bottle, you pour it, whether it's in a fancy decanter or even a lovely ceramic pitcher, or even you just pour it into your big glass, what happens is you allow for the wine to get some oxygenation. It allows the wine to open up. So what does this do for it? Well, wine is a living, breathing thing. It's been trapped in a bottle for at least a year, if not several. And by the way, if you want tips on how to decant, you can go visit our previous video right here, but do that afterwards. What we end up doing when we decant is we allow that wine to breathe. A little bit of oxygen is a good thing. Too much, not such a good thing. But a little bit, it allows that wine to sigh, to stretch it out, to open it up. And that means that you're going to get, instead of a tight and closed wine, you're getting a wine that will be better able to display those aromatics and those flavors that the winemaker intended. So if you can, decant, 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 decant. I can't say it enough. Wine mistake number 3, have a sense of adventure. So often in our wine school or with our clients, we will get people who get hung up on something that maybe they had a Chardonnay they didn't like in 1988, or maybe they had a Beaujolais that they really didn't enjoy when they were 18 years old. But the wine world is always changing, and so are you. That's why your palate evolves over time. And with all the advances that are happening in the wine world, chances are you're probably going to find that what you once thought you didn't like because of whatever reason, and by the way, often that reason is because the wine is corked, and you can get more information on that by clicking on this video here, but previously you may have had a negative encounter with wine X or label Z or brand A, B, or C, whatever. But have a sense of adventure. Go back and revisit those wines, go back and revisit those varieties, and see that maybe you've just expanded your horizons a little bit. Life is long. Why would you drink the same thing every day? Have a sense of adventure, and the best way to do that is trying wines from around the world, and you'll get history, geography, culture, all in a glass. Okay, wine mistake number 4, getting handsy with your wine. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why your wine has a stem, it's there for a reason. It's to keep your wine at the proper temperature that we were talking about. It's also helpful to keep your glass looking fabulous. So when you're gripping your wine like this, holding it for dear life by the goblet, all you're doing is transferring your body heat into that wine, and a lot of studies will suggest your wine will increase in temperature 1 degree every 5 minutes. So if you're already serving it too warm, not such a good thing. But also, when you're holding your wine by the goblet, especially if you just put on hand moisturizer, but even if you hadn't, within a couple of short minutes, a couple of short seconds even, you're just gonna be transferring over all of that skin grease onto your glass. So now you're left, instead of a beautiful, crystal clear wine glass, it's now smudgy and dirty and full of all of that grease, and it's just not attractive. So come on, do yourself a favor, hold your wine by the stem like it was meant to be. Wine mistake number 5. Now this has to go with pour size. Guys, listen to me. I know it's so counterintuitive to have the lower pour size, and what we really want to do is pour it right up to the brim, because heck, we work hard and we deserve the big girl pour. I hear ya, but the proper size is really going to the 3rd level of the glass, or the 1/3 level of the glass, where the widest portion of the glass. Why do you want to do that? Well, go back to what we just talked about with decanting. Wine needs to open up, and when you have it only poured 1/3 of the way full, it allows for that oxygen to get in and all of those beautiful aromatics to pick right up. Now, also, if you were to pour it right up to the top of the brim and you were to give it a nice little swirl, it's gonna go sloshing all over the place. And here's another reason why you only wanna have smaller pours. It warms up way too quickly. No matter who you are, it's going to take you longer to get through all of that wine, and so your wine will start to dull, will start to warm up, and won't be as fresh and as crisp and as clean as it was if you're pouring it in smaller portions. So keep your wine pours proper, keep them to that 1/3 level, to the widest area of the bowl, and you will have an elegant pour that's also proper and absolutely tasty. So those were my biggest wine pet peeves. Obviously, they're really fixable, so let's do that. I'd love to hear what your wine pet peeves are in the comments below. And if you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and get alerted to when we have new videos every single week. My name's Erin Henderson. I'm from the Wine Sisters, and until next week, stay well, drink better.